Councillor, you may continue, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Kujabi.
Mr. Kujabi.
Welcome back.
Bismillah.
You would notice that it is now in Jola. Yes, we need to do that so that all the audience at home, those listening, can, especially our Jola brothers and sisters, can also understand what is happening. So, you are still under oath? So now, let's go back to where we were before the break. Yes. He seems to be correcting the Jola interpretation. Kakalia is Mandinka. So Bate is swearing in Jola.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. And please correct the interpretation whenever you think that it does not adequately capture what you intend to say. The important thing is that the Gambian people are able to understand what is going on and what's being said. So, Mr. Witness, welcome back. You are trying to help the Commission understand Yaya Jammeh. And you talked about his eccentricism, that he was eccentric. Okay. We have heard a witness testify here that Yaya Jammeh can be described as a very moody person he is now happy, now angry.
Matiko ya jame panungo rag matiko kankan anan numanjone ngone ni tu manji bakane rabola nye pa ngoena ala ko dikasum wala nabolen.
What do you say to that?
Wanu mangebe ubaja be rag di wakila.
Sorry, I did not know him of that type.
Yemanjuto momude mankurek menon mola.
And how do you understand his temperament? Is it someone who is quick to switch from one mood to another? Did he have mood swings? Did he throw tantrums?
Aubunu manjome eno mante akane kana nanu manjone pala ko dika sum le pio dorong na faling manak abolen mante.
Yaya has different moods.
Jemme squirrel sinamut.
Because if he is in a bad mood, he doesn't care who is facing him or not. And what he intends to tell you, he will tell you in your face. But if you give him 5 minutes, he's down. He start laughing.
Could you give us examples?
Sometimes, if I want to know something from you, if you tell him, no, he will tell you that this and this is what is happening. And if you say, no, sir, it is not, he said, no. He wants to know, but he cannot just come and subdue. He wants you to explain. If you start explaining, then he comes down and listens. This is where a lot of people did not understand him. But for me, if you start shouting, I'll say, if you listen to me, I will explain my own story. Then you sit and relax and say, okay, go ahead. If I explain, you say on the whole, on the whole, you are a big fool, but what you said is right.
This is what
other people don't know of Yaya Jammeh. If he started shouting, they become panic and they will not talk. If you keep quiet, he will keep quiet.
Even though you are his senior, he would also insult you.
Hani men kami au urungo di burokap beja au kama ni fanala di burokap beja pa pembe di au.
Yes, that is when he is in the office, not in the house.
Yo malegen yo kanya omdo di office wala but lady sinde.
And could you describe the kind of insults he would heap on people?
Man te ngo nu regali ujela o fasonge wana jelem mo kana kubang.
Sometimes if he asks me a question, I said, I don't know, I will find out. You are a big fool. Why can't you know? Why don't you know this? Things, you know, you cannot call it an insult. He just want to provoke you.
Would he? Yes, I've been reminded about the translation, the interpretation. Perhaps maybe let's take that again. You were explaining that sometimes he would ask you something and you wouldn't know, and then he would call you a fool. Could we have that interpretation? Apart from calling you a fool, what other? Which other words, insulting words, would he use against you apart from calling you a fool?
For me, that's the only word he can use to man. Then go and find out. That's all.
Would he call you an idiot?
No.
Honey.
The interpretation for my question, would he call you an idiot?
Nane mante parege au tole.
No.
Well, idiot, I think it's not exactly tole. It's a higher form of tole.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really know how to describe the word idiot.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. Maybe tole would capture it.
Yeah, somehow.
Would he insult you like, say, get the F out of my office, things like that?
Nane mante pa jelika jel kanu manjone panku kuring tana jombere gini upurtate kom kajel kajongone de kajel inyaya bang.
No.
Have you ever had him address people in that manner?
Mante musu jama jele ake di kajel kakilia.
Not to my knowledge.
Your colleagues, are they happy with the way he treated them?
Nane mante kupali ko sumi suman ajemi de bukobang.
Which colleague, if I may ask?
Your colleagues in general.
Kupali kanjiro kemi.
I wouldn't know.
Mr. Kujabi, since we started the Jola interpretation, you have retrenched and got into a hole and refused to answer questions.
Mr. Kujabi, binanu kumase mi kakanna sora de kujola kankanne mante nula lam bolum kuja tit.
Are you afraid of something?
I am not afraid of anything.
Yes.
What I do know is if things happen in my presence, I will say it.
Please be more forthcoming. Remember, you are on the earth.
Yes.
Mr. Witness, you know that in Yaya Jammeh's short temper, he insults officers around him.
Mr. Kujabi numman yaje me di football na fon la manatariam kabolena ajelen jelen.
That is a fact.
I can even insult his bodyguards in my presence, but not me personally. No.
And what insults would he normally give them? He would insult their mothers. He would.
Ujel buna jele manta jele jel sinyaya mante buna jele
big fools. You don't know anything. But insulting mother is not his character. Between me and God, I have never witnessed where he was insulting anybody's mother. But he will insult you, belittle you until you reduce yourself. But not the parents. No.
But he would often bully the staff around him.
Bare pa arregi kurim kanuma njone kane kan kurim katima jakati anaulet sumo.
Yes, that's true.
He wanted all of them to worship him.
Namange mankana kutu manku kobo nemite.
Yes.
He was to be a demigod.
Kang akang kam fangela no emit.
Well, what I know is he wants to be big, but a demigod, maybe, I don't know, but he wants to be look as a big man. That's what I know.
He wanted to be seen as the superior.
Namange mamankana kujukumatiko o am fatiara o arunge.
That's true.
Answer after the interpretation.
Okay, sorry.
Nane au be Kujabi nan olu sankene.
What is your answer? Did he wish to be seen by all as a superior?
Nane wa mi furi mafia mante na mama mankana kutu kujukumatiko o arungume.
Yes.
Yo malegen.
He wanted everybody, all those who worked for him or for the government, to dance to his tune.
Namange mang kana kanuma njone koko body buroko di o di karakum government tu manko kan wan o aragme wana mangmi.
Not only the government, but everybody who is in this country want that person to dance to his tune. Not only the government.
Would you describe him as a dictator?
Nane mante pujuk pungo no regma de kankan ananima njone amange mamang furima fola fujum.
Yes.
Sometimes when the responses or the interpretation come almost simultaneously, we lose something. I'm sure the listeners...
I'm very sorry then.
But also, all of us have to observe that discipline, you, myself, and the interpreters. I'll ask the question again. Would you consider him a dictator?
Mante au nujukojuk mat kankan ananuma njone amange mamang furima fola fujum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. The A is such that it's difficult for... Anyway, I hope it is understood. Why do you say he was a dictator?
Waka monureg mati kankan ananuma njone amange mamang furima fola fujum.
Because once you give an order, he must make sure that that order is implemented. Without consulting anybody.
Senja furima amange mam furima fana semi manku fukan han an netangon nak akingirit hani anfa amange mam fukan mana sem fomeno.
You want to give us examples?
Mante be regoli taman serebang mankane meno.
Well, to me, he was not doing it to myself, but if you look at other people, he will say, I want you to do this, and it is done.
Yeah, can it mo di njede baro jike jabo kana kaku o yeregi matiko jikam mani reg meno.
Was he concerned whether what he wanted was legal or illegal?
Mante butuma wobo bobang wanamang mibe kane mante wa fanu manjone ribo di luai wala ribo di luai.
Well, to some people, somebody like me, I would say it is illegal, but for him, he saw it that it is okay for him. So
kanya anakana ninje penene jor di luai de bare kom o kaya jikere de ko ni mirit mante jor di luai mante jor.
And when it came to preserving his government, as far as you know, to what extent would he go to preserve himself in power?
Jawlo jadi e guteti man sakunda yola. Buna jem eno bungol tebe eno bunangwe na lu eno mon ajuk matiko nagugut man sakunda yola.
Just as I said earlier, Yaya was not looking the government as a democratically elected government. He was seeing it as a personal property.
Manire gumirong belum ke Yaya musta jiket matiko man sakunda yati an demokrasi an kono ko balebe en carte Ya jame wana jikimi Gambia. Ne Gambia yola o fanya kileo.
That is why sometimes you will say, if I want, I can rule this country for billion years. And nobody can live for a billion years. But why is he using that?
Mokaminikia alako japanane sumonja pini lako dimanse idire Gambia mante simiri sono billion. Ban anetangonda baj bolwe mante be billion years. Baro rege mo.
Apart from that, can you give us other examples would make you think that he saw this country as his personal property?
Wujda di yakile mante ngonu rogali wake wanu manjone kanka ma sof matiko o wakile esukiwe banna ngongon arungu simita sasumwami.
Well, to me, Yaya is, you know, because of his military background, he's seeing things the way he feels. That is how it should happen, and it must happen. Even though people are saying that we are in a democratically elected government, yes, the uniform is taken down, but the mind is still a military mind. You know, militaries, they normally act on
Mokami wafo of or jikere come community bigger vola come bigget come bonora man community honorem rek mona honorem also anything in a local loop with but a bigget of combat community.
Because for Yaya to say take him to lock him up is nothing to him. He doesn't even see as something that civilians don't like it. He's just seeing it as a military way of life, which is disturbing the whole country.
You can't hold honey waff. Can't free my day military man correct me table kama. Kong ala ko civilian allow man you tie, but oh yeah, Purmambarek and Gitabo Jukul Momo can't honey waff.
In effect, you're saying that to imprison somebody or to detain persons was nothing to him.
Was nothing.
What numa mamberek matiko esofe bukanaka kamben wala na angari lanen tintakun. Do can't waff the o. Do can't honey waff.
Did you answer now?
I said nothing to him. That is the way he feels. It is okay. That's all.
Do can't waff or mona jukemena jajak momo or do can't honey waff.
In deciding to detain people, did he pay attention to the provisions of the law?
Amang jabe sofeti ana kamben. Manten majikrejiker wal luwa regmi di wafa wakilebang.
I don't think. I'm giving you my own example. When I was deployed to Birkama as commissioner, one fateful Tuesday evening, when I closed work, I was resting. Some NIA and military officers came to my house. They said they've come for me. They took me to the NIA. Then DG Debamarena told me that they have an information that I am castigating the president's name in West Coast. I said to him, I will not ask you where you get the source from because you are operating on a need-to-know basis. I will not bother you on that. But I want to know what I said, where I said it, and when. Then he said, anyway, this is what we were told. So I have to keep you here.
As far as you know, was Yaya Jammeh aware of that?
Oh, yeah. Because when I arrived in his office...
Answer now.
Okay.
Could you repeat your answer?
Yes.
Proceed.
When I went to his office, when I was taken to his office, he said, let me call the president first before I ask you questions. Then after talking to him, he asked me these questions. Then,
in which language did he speak to him?
In Mandinka.
Were you present?
I was sitting, Marina was talking to Sabulato Yajam in Mandinka, and he was also talking to me in Mandinka.
The Marina, oh, the Yajame, commanding like a Sankan, the Yajame, the commanding
affiliate.
Or a Lakmerigan and his Sa Ome.
Then I had him say, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Then he put the telephone down. And he came and said, Ibeya to Tinakang West Coast Kono. Well, I will not ask you where you get this one, but what did I say? That is spoiling your name and where and when. I don't know, but we will keep you here.
Do you believe that Daba detained you at his discretion or under the instructions of Jammeh?
Mantel au nu uine matiko daba basso ferito mati ya Jammeh arrege mante o sume man anenito.
He detained me under the instructions of Yaya.
O basso feri dinje matko ya Jammeh seno furuma mbaso fo manentinte ko.
Do you believe that was lawful?
Manta nu uine matiko ribo di luwai manakanya mam.
That was not.
No, you di luwai. Aribini di luwai.
In a sense, generally, Jammeh was not bothered about the law when it came to decisions he was to take about the fate of other people.
Nen anangoy na reg wato Yaya Jammeh ajikere di luwai ali berendi di luwai nen jalo jadi bukana kake.
Lo yo malegen. Yo malegen. Yo malegen.
Yes. So, but how about those who threatened his government? How would he deal with them?
Nya bukana kanuma njone ko kulet mankuri boyadi mansakunda yola ko buna ajemi di bukoyeno.
For example, like those attempting an overthrow or what, I don't know.
Yes, those who threatened his government, either there was an attempt to overthrow, a discussion to overthrow, a statement showing that one was against Yaya Jammeh and things like that. How would he treat such people?
Kana kanuma njone kuma mambeka an kudetaye wala ananuma njone na apurem furim faise na matiko ariboru di masakundati Yaya Jammeh buna jemi di bukana ubuku.
When such incident happened, security personnel go and do their arrests. And they do their interrogations. With whatever they want to inflict on you, they will do it.
What do you mean by that? Whatever they want to inflict on you, they will do it.
That is torturing you for you to either confess or tell them what they want to hear. Whether they report back to Yaya Jammeh or not, I don't know.
Mr. Witness, you are Director General of NIA.
Oh, me, Director General NIA.
You believe that these security operatives would arrest somebody, torture the person to obtain a confession and not report back to Yaya Jammeh?
Manta ne matiko security buku ke NIA mante pankuskof anaw kunna go ban let kujo kulanyan furima babu Yaya Jammeh manta ne.
What I do know, when I was Director General, first thing I did was photocopy all the Decree 45 that was the mandate of the NIA and distribute it to all the sections so that nobody will go against his mandate.
We
would come to that.
Okay.
But for now, we're talking in general terms, how you understood Yaya Jammeh.
Minye wanu sankena le nya woyene mi ujikerja tu nen aw man umanju meno Yaya Jammeh yodo mar sankene.
And the question is,
de wanirank mi woyemi.
Do you believe that these security operatives would arrest anybody, torture, interrogate the person, torture the person about coup d'etat, obtain confessions or what they want to hear, and not report back to Yaya Jammeh? Do you think that would happen? Mante
au nui ne matiko ko kuroka kola obuko kanuma njone kujejo kusof bukanak nen kane jojo di wafoti coup d'etat ku naga anaw ku ronko mante ku baj furima fasetaf di wakami manko kamamo banni kulako let ku jow ku reg Yaya Jammeh wa baj manta au nui ne mati nyaaje mi ba.
Of course they report to him.
So he is aware of all these tortures that were happening.
Woto na amamanji benage di bala firiya yakane nyamamu tu.
That's true.
But these things were not limited to tortures, it extended to disappearances.
Bare uru rewtu di en nageti bukanak bala firiya yoli bare jojo mante ka kefang ko kayemang.
I had all those things when this commission was set up.
But as Director General of the NIA, you would know about some of these things, you would not only hear about them.
Bare matiko awula kolako Director General NIA woto nuwa warum manji kuye yutu wat kan matiko ejam bare.
Those things were not happening during our time.
But Mr. Witness, they were.
Can I have one example of it? If it is true, I will tell you yes.
Dauda Nyasi.
Dauda Nyasi.
Dauda Nyasi was after 2004. I remember I had one soldier said it here. It was not during our time.
Dauda Nyasi can't water yolili or kabirunan watati 2004.
But you were in the system up to end of 2004 or thereabout.
Bara nula kola kodi burokab mantebe wata eti ebaneti 2004.
I was not there.
In the system.
I was not in the system. I left the agency December 2003.
But you became governor.
Bare nul jalo jawla ko governor.
Yes.
So you are still in the system.
Woto kankanen beja awmdori burokab.
But on a different angle.
Yes.
Different from security. So I was more or less a civilian than a security personnel.
Deida
Haidara case, I was not even in the system.
December 2003?
December 2003.
December 2004. Okay. Yes.
2004.
I was terminated in May 2004.
May 2004.
All right. The UDP supporters?
Yeah, the Kuwait UDP supporter calling.
And the PPP supporters?
The supporter KPPP.
I was working in the system, but I was never part of any operation pertaining to that.
You see, at this time you had the ear of the president, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, what ujuk? What are you to talk mu ulakoido de brokabet and mansakuna?
In fact, you are liaison officer between State House and the NIA.
Ban kankan aula komitutare State House the NIA.
And that puts you in a position where you would have knowledge of these operations that were taking place at the behest of Yaya Jammeh, for the benefit of Yaya Jammeh.
Bam broka bakle bu kankan brok banu mangi tanula komi fokure ko ngol num manju wa fa num manjone wo wonde kabajak di upana o gabaw di pop wamde epurle bab Yaya Jammeh.
That time I was a junior officer under Sambaba, the late DG.
Watakilia ingia officer second di temarati.
But even though you were a junior officer,
you had
direct access to Yaya Jammeh. True?
True.
And you had his ear. You can talk to him about the issues that threatened his security.
Ban no ujukora jukordi o woto nungono sankende o wafa numanjone u jowtu di karamben ke mansakunda yola.
I always speak to Yaya Jammeh on matters that concerns me, but if it is something that has to do with the Director General, I don't interfere.
But this in fact concerned Yaya Jammeh himself. Here was a group of Gambians protesting against his government.
Bara uro jongen toni Yaya Jammeh fango katung bajem ku guru fujojo fati ku Gambian kanu manjone kula koloko kaito beka kati ken mansakunda ati Yaya Jammeh.
Yes.
And you are aware that Yaya Jammeh did not treat that with any degree of leniency, did he?
Ban no mamany matiko teni Yaya Jammeh ban amanguten be engarendo di wa fosone.
I will tell you that Yaya was also informed by our Director General that a group of people are about to stage a demonstration and march to the American Embassy.
Piragi matiko Yaya o pop ko baregero Director General all la wa rego matiko buka bukan kanum kuma ko jume kono bejo be kan ende balambea bejo mambe ko jodu komno le mante kuring kapana ke Westfield.
How did Yaya react to that?
Yaya Jammeh ro buka no eno buna akan meno.
Then he said,
Nane
investigate and find out.
Ani jinges manji jimanji.
That day,
Mr. Witness, didn't he say round them up and lock them up?
No.
Aseda mante arrego to jisofi tu manji kambeni.
But what I understood is when Sambaba mobilized his own operatives at night, they are all assembled at the agency. I didn't know what was going on. I went to State House that night. And I told him, look, I saw some NIA officers assembling at State House. What's going on?
At State House or at NIA?
At the NIA.
Officer kake mankujume babu NIA fulimitafati NIA.
Then he said, are you not aware? I said, no.
Nana mi ahana ujamot nino mi hani.
He said, your DG told me that there are some people who want to demonstrate against my government.
Nani DG fangaraga mane bukanko ko mankujume bejo be kanka balamba di inje di mansakunda yumbu.
And I asked him,
nino mi,
are you sure about that?
Kengo mi. He said,
he is the DG. If he tell me, I will believe him. I said, okay, let me go to the NIA and find out. When I went to the NIA, I met Sambaba, Dabamarena and others.
You talk to me, Sambaba, Dabamarena, Dikupalo.
Then Sambaba told me that we had an information that some people want to demonstrate tomorrow morning at the American Embassy. And they have mobilized people all the way from Tobase. I told him, what are you going to do now? He said, we have to get the ringleaders. If we get the ringleaders, we'll be able to know exactly what's going on. Told him, anyway, me, I'm going, since I'm not part of the operatives, I'm going home. Said, no, you can stay and witness. I said, no, I'm not going to stay. While we were talking, Daba Marena entered his office.
Daba Mare no into mano kendi office wala.
And told him that Jobate Mane is here with us.
Narego minani Jobate Mane tate di ala.
And who is Jobate Mane?
Then I asked him about who is this Jobate Mane.
I am Jobate Mane.
He said he's a PPP diehard supporter.
Ni kengo mi am mi Jobate Mane nanu manu manji mi ngani elo 2 NPP na seneo.
Then I told him, well, are you people here for PPP supporters?
Hello, did you say NPP?
PPP, I'm sorry.
PPP supporters.
PPP supporters.
People's Progressive Party. Then I said, anyway,
You know,
tomorrow morning I will come. And I went home. Nobody called me. In the morning, when I went to the office, somebody told me that with the help of some July 22nd boys, we are able to apprehend all the ringleaders. But I've got instructions that they should be handed over to the military at Fajara barracks.
Do you understand? Did you get to know who gave those instructions?
And I said, Sambaba, but you are the DG. If you don't give instructions, who?
The question is...
I'm coming. He told me, are you a fool? I said, no. Then he said, the president gave me instruction that these people should be handed over to the Fajara barracks. And I told him, then what is your role now as an intelligence officer? He said, well, what we can do is if we arrest, we hand them over to the military police, to the military in Pajara. And that's all what we can do.
But somewhere interrogated first at the NIA premises before they were handed over.
That was at night. That was at night when they started arresting them. Because I was not there. I went home.
I can recollect the first witness called the first victim of this particular episode called by the TRRC, Mr. Bajsamba Jallo. He testified before the commission and talked about the gruesome tortures he was put through by members of the NIA. What do you say about that?
I'm not disputing that.
So this institution that you worked for at this stage was carrying out terrible tortures of Gambians.
Yes.
And this was the first test, really, the first challenge to Yaya's authority as head of state.
Yes.
And it was met with grave brutality.
That's true.
Not only was Bajsamba Jallo beaten, pebbles and glass was thrown on the floor and he was forced to crawl on them.
This has
been happening at the Fajara barracks? I don't know.
No, that happened at the NIA.
I don't know.
The NIA office, boy, Bajum.
I was not there. I have never participated any of this. And what I did was...
Just a moment. You are the liaison officer. You know they were being tortured.
But I will commit to tutarete kusijungura siga bausu State House the NIA woto numa manjimate ko kunageni na.
That's why I asked my DG Sambaba about it.
Moka minikeng DG Umbum Sambaba kuyakilia.
Answer first the question. You knew they were being tortured.
Yes, I knew.
Ngom follow numa manjimate ko kunageni na.
I knew.
And who was torturing them?
Ay malako me nageli.
I don't know precisely.
The witness mentioned some names.
Asida na wankures.
It's a long time.
Kankambe kapio.
I didn't know this was going to come up.
Imanjuten matiko urupan Julian jat.
But if my recollection is right,
barenen ka ni ngola ngoy ni wolo jak.
He mentioned Fodebari,
Nawawank Fodebari,
Baba Saho, Salmina Drame, amongst others.
These are operatives that were in charge of investigation. So if we mention their names, I wouldn't be surprised. But I was not part of
investigation.
He also talked about him being electrocuted.
It is possible.
But at this stage, the NIA was electrocuting people who were perceived as threats to Yaya Jammeh's authority.
With all the 300 witnesses that testified here, nobody has ever mentioned Abdoulie Kujabi being part of any of these operations. So I wouldn't know.
But hani ana musta jo ma onko ko momenti ko ingi Abdoulie Kujabi di nan nam dur bakakre manjot hani way bani ma bewt.
You see, Abdullah, here we are fair to all witnesses.
No. Abdullah tate tanuju kunya anosan nu ukane kan ujumeni di tanuwar mujum.
We are also fair to all perpetrators.
Anuman jone pop o alusemo kana ko pop nusana eson bunya yola.
No witness implicated you as being present and having participated in their torture.
Asida jawlo tate de mareg matiko au nu butuma biya bobudo wala nula ko lakoto kodi bala firiya yolil.
Are you happy with that now?
Mante do sumi sumbang.
Well, I heard about it, but because whatever you do will reflect on you one day or the other. But let me tell you one thing, what I did.
Before we talk about what you did, let's first establish the basic facts.
Okay.
You knew what was going on.
You knew
that your colleagues were torturing people.
Yes.
And was Yaya Jammeh aware of this?
DG must be briefing him on all what is happening. NIA is part of President's office.
In your discussions with him, did you tell him that the suspects were being tortured?
Dikamika koli audi o mante nuregoreg matiko kanji teblomi kanji ne matiko koku kane koku kai kumambeka kajanake mansayola matikuna ginagbang.
No, but I made a wider discussion about certain things to him which he will understand why I was not happy.
Could you expand on that? Could you explain?
July 22nd movement.
July 22nd movement.
I saw it as a hostile group. And it was Yaya's baby.
But wasn't it created from the NIA?
No, it was between Baba Job and Yaya.
And NIA,
the late Tamsir Jallo.
Wasn't it bred and nurtured by the NIA?
No.
Mante can't NIA koko jumenoyo.
If I explain to you, you will understand.
You would explain. Okay. But wasn't funding to July 22nd movement or Green Youths for channels through the NIA.
Bare mante wa fa no manjono comme sécurité wala ba wonu manjono wala comme ka juma na kay groupe yu mais jum mante le NIA jome mi bang.
Green Youths and the July 22nd movement are two different organizations.
You can urus gaba sinamos the Green Youth the July 22nd movement.
We know
sinamut.
that. We know that. That's why we gave you those two options.
Numa manjiek
July 22nd movement, Green Youths were somewhat funded through the NIA clandestinely.
Numa manjiek kane museni uresa ugaba u Green Youth the July 22nd revolution kankan si group sanu manjone depanseli to the wajumeni mi jom.
I did not say revolution. I said July 22nd movement.
Oh, July 22nd movement.
The July 22nd was a coup d'etat. It was an illegal seizure of the government.
July 22nd ekanen kan a judge fu judge fanuma njone kuiten tamanku coup d'etat ku ngab mo fam ban yo report di luwai.
But back to the issue.
Bare mula nyadi kuwe.
Was Yaya funding these two institutions, these two organizations, July 22nd movement and Green Youths? Was he funding them clandestinely through the NIA?
Mante Yaya jamme ala ko me ka dépense ke si groupe si gabawsu July 22nd movement the Green Youths ma ajom dedu NIA.
He was funding them through money shop owned by Baba Job, not the NIA.
Ala ko depensa ko li di ke prum di seguro se Baba Job par le NIA.
Are you sure that the NIA was not used also to fund the Green Youths?
Mante set matiko ko ngaruti NIA be ka depensa kati e groupe yo.
No.
How about the Jammeh Foundation?
Jammeh Foundation
was money coming from the NIA to clandestinely fund some of the activities of the Jammeh Foundation?
Mante sikuri sila ko lake puru babu NIA be ka depensa ke create Jammeh Foundation?
No.
Ani.
Well, in case you change your answer to this, write to the commission and let us know.
Nen kane pop numa mambe ka faling mandu jabi meno nungol no kan commissioner man ko kalamda.
I am not going to change anything because what I know
lele joka faling hani waf bar woni manjimi.
The Jammeh Foundation is a different institution.
Yo dikapani yo lil.
The Green Youths is also another different institution.
Call them organizations.
The July 22nd, I was one of those that fought very hard to dismantle the July 22nd. I'll come to that.
No NIA money went to those organizations.
As far as I know, no money because
but remember that in fact to carry out this operation of arresting these PPP people, the NIA used
the July 22nd.
Bare mbuka to be yegiti.
Please proceed.
The July 22nd was funded by Baba Job. That's what I said.
July 22nd, depanseti di Baba Job ni pullo.
And I did not even have enough money for the operations, let alone.
And I ko fangi ko just go di sa jube be ka dépense fanga foli sakantuma be ka dépense and organizers yake.
Yes, just to take you back a little bit and correct some of the information that I provided this from the top of my head. This was I think from the first week of hearings. I think Bach Samba Jallo included amongst those who tortured him.
Mila ni bolom ko jati de kuen la ko me regeli mate nage uresa woni wonken mitate kankan Bach Samba Jallo pop na
Daba Marena Musa Kinte and Baba Saho.
Di Baba Saho ko tu kunan namdu kan kunag.
So I just needed to correct that.
Imange mambe be tabulen miju.
That's true.
Yo maligen.
So you acknowledging that these people tortured Bachamba Jallow?
That time Marina was in charge of counter-espionage.
Marina, counter-espionage.
That is where a lot of things were happening. Because behind it's a building of its own, far from the reception. So, it is possible he must have been tortured.
And it was common knowledge that amongst the operatives at the time that these people were torturing the suspects who were arrested and brought there.
It is possible.
No, Mr. Witness, you said you knew that this is what was going on.
Yes, that's what I said.
So it's not only possible, it actually happened.
Okay.
Okay.
So you were telling us about the Green Youths. Sorry, the July 22nd movement.
July 22nd movement.
Proceed.
What I did was, I invited Susan Wafa Ogu. Went to his office and I told her, look, this July 22nd, we are not in a transitional government now. This is a civilian government. And the July 22nd movement is a very hostile movement. We want to carry on with our politics. And Gambians to believe and believe in us. We have to dismantle this July 22nd movement.
To who or to whom was July 22nd movement hostile to?
July 22nd movement, the IMO etenim.
A lot of people, because sometimes when it comes to certain operations, they are used.
July 22nd,
by certain members of the intelligence service. Even after the transitional government.
Was Jammeh aware of this?
Oh yes. Oh yes. I even invited Alaji Banta Kamara, the late Alaji Banta of Basse. And I told him to come, we sit and discuss over this issue. Then I told Alaji that I'm going to raise a topic with the president. And I want you and Susan to support me. And we went to Kanilai. After discussions on certain things, and I raised the topic.
With who?
With Yaya Jammeh.
Just a moment. Before you tell us what was discussed with Yaya Jammeh, can you tell us what was being done with the July 22nd movement which you did not like?
July 27 movement
Some boys were sent to Libya to train whatever, I don't know. When they came,
July 22nd movement,
I was on a tour. They met us in Basse. And they started talking that they came to take over the secret of the president. I called Baba's attention, Baba Job. I told him, if you don't mind, tell your boys to go back to Banjul. Otherwise, the soldiers know their mission here. It's going to be very terrible for them. Then Baba went to Yaya Jammeh's house. I told him the presence of the July 22nd boys went to Libya.
July 22nd movement Libya.
Then I entered.
Nyeponi no kemido.
I told Yaya that you cannot see these people here. Let them go back to Banjul and wait for us there.
Yaya
told Baba, you heard what Abdullah said? He said yes. Pack your boys and go back. That's how they came back to Banjul. And when I spoke with Banta Camera and Susan, sorry.
You must have had a reason for wanting to speak to Banta and Susan. You also told us earlier that some NIA operatives were using the July 22nd movement voice in operations, and Yaya Jammeh was aware of that.
July 22nd revolution.
I did not say
July 22nd movement. July 22nd movement. Babaj ko kamane koli kanu manjone NIA ku ngare ni ngar man ko la koy kan buroka boli ban yaaji me na manje man.
That was the demonstration I was telling you about.
So they participated in the arrest?
They participated, yes.
Was that lawful?
It was not. That's why I had to fight for it to be banned.
In fact, the July 22nd movement people were flexing their muscles around town like they are some established authority.
Ujike jafang July 22nd movement ay boku kula kula ke jode suke man sumi meno ne mante ko fang koku buri buroka be mansa.
That's true.
They were beating people.
Kala ke nage bokanak.
That's true.
Yo maligen.
And those who they thought were against Yaya Jammeh were constantly threatened?
Bankang kustof mi batu kuri bontu ni Yaya Jammeh kula kela ko mankuragi kuri makukule ni.
That's true.
Yo maligen.
So give us the examples of the operations which they were involved in, their activities which angered you to the extent that you had to discuss this with the president.
Fotonya uregoli fasonge wankula kome kane wakami mante awri mu mangen be kasanke nak da president.
I was personally threatened by Mood Soma Job when I met him in Soma. But he didn't know who I was. At the GPTC garage. He came, he saw my vehicle parked. And he said I must move the vehicle away. That's why he said, don't you know I'm a July 22nd movement? What is July 22nd movement? Are you an authority? You nearly had a fight there.
How did he respond?
He said if I did not move the vehicle, he will call the boys to apprehend me. I said, now I will wait for those boys. Somebody who knew me told him, this is Abdoulie Kujabi you heard about. He came and said, sir, I'm sorry, I didn't know you. I said, no, go, just go. I don't want to talk to you. And I knew that they were doing it other than me, because if they don't know you and they are far, they will do whatever they like. And I said these people have to be stopped. Otherwise, they will make Gambians hate Yaya Jammeh very much.
But what they were doing it for Yaya Jammeh.
Yeah, but if you tell Yaya Jammeh the reasons why these people are to be banned, he will understand. As
liaison officer at this time, did you know of any people who were attacked by these July 22nd people?
Nan la community so officer. Man tenuma man bukan kanuma njone. kanake July 22nd movement yu kulolori buko
in the name of supporting Yaya Jammeh?
Ikaresa ke karibe na ke Yaya Jammeh.
I can't remember because it's a long time. So it has been happening, but I can't remember them.
And who do you think is responsible for this unlawful harassment of the Gambian people?
I know Sophie Matiko or Ami Bolumukube, Manya and Kulakome Kane, Kapunya Nakarke Bokanak.
Yaya Jammeh will discuss this. We will talk to the head of the July 22nd movement, Baba Joe, and Baba Joe will relay the message to them.
July 22nd movement and if I all Baba Joe.
Baba was very frequent in Yaya's home and office.
Yeah, Baba pretty lupeti Yaya, the office at Yaya.
He can go anytime he wants.
What is sumo ponorim bedo?
And he was head of July 22nd.
1 hour Rungumi, July 22nd.
Yeah, he was the head of July 22nd.
Rungumi, July 22nd movement.
Could you recall any serious violations that were committed by the July 22nd movement people?
Mante nungolongon uwolo bala firiya ya baje sembe ya numanjone July 22nd movement koko kanene yo.
There was a time when Yaya went to perform his first Hajj in Mecca.
The
day he was coming back, at the I-22, there was a big problem between the July 22nd and the soldiers who were there.
Problem July 22nd movement.
By then, Landing Sane was the state guard commander.
Landing Sane, Okami state guard commander.
He went until he gave orders for the soldiers to fire at the July 22nd.
Jojo mante was sick on fang. Jojo mante kasem from mambi ku soldier na ku pumben kunyela kuku.
I told him no.
You know me, honey.
Why should you fire them?
What can be pumben kunyela?
Said these people they thought here is Libya where the what's the name of the movement in Libya? They want to implement it here. I said no, but the way.
But when I jabi aminane kunybuku kumo soft mante babe Libya. Mane karesa ko kutoka na wonku mi boko kwa mi bom mane mande kuye kile ko mangi be kandire but neno mi hani.
So when I was dismantling, when I talked to Yaya Jammeh about it, I even quoted that incident.
Moka mine lakam kamikina ke Yaya Jammeh pour mba kajane kafauyu hani furma fakile afanye bang faitello baitello.
You cannot compare the soldiers and the July 22nd.
You know buku ko militaire ko itu ngonu tembendi July 22nd movement.
Because of the little training they have in Libya, they thought they are superhuman.
Atu mante enda training karang yang ko bajelo karang siku nan ko bajelo Libya nya ko so mante buko nya pa ko rede ko militaire.
In fact, there is this Amnesty International report of 2nd December 1997, Exhibit 191, Mr. Chair, which cites the case of Fabakary Tal, who was assaulted by the APRC militants for distributing pamphlets during a student celebrations marking the 2nd anniversary of the coup d'etat. Are you aware of that?
No, manjudo.
I was not aware.
But these things would happen if they see a person who was against the Jammeh government.
They
would attack. They
will, of course.
In fact, the use of these people continued.
But tell
us about your conversations with Jammeh before we talk about the continuation of the movement.
So I went to Konila with Banta Kamara and Sultan Wafa. And I told Jammeh, look, Mr. President, he said this, I want us to ban the July 22nd.
You know, Mr. President, the July 22nd movement.
The July 22nd was formed during the transition.
July 22nd movement,
didn't he say you were crazy?
Because I have some an elderly person sitting on a minister. So we were all talking about the same language. And I told him, look, now that the transition is gone, we are in a civilian government, this July 22nd should be banned. What we need now is maybe an APRC youth movement, not the July 22nd.
Is that how the Green Boys was born?
No.
Then he
looked at Banta Kamara and said, Nakeba, yemune fo. He said, yes, I think we are speaking of the same language. And Susan also corroborated my story.
Did you give him reasons?
Oh yes, I told him, remember what happened at the arch between your soldiers and the July 22nd.
Give us a more detailed explanation of what happened at the arch. And the reasons for it.
When the Green Boys came in a truck, in a minibus.
Green Boys, the
Green Boys or
no, the July 22nd movement boys. Those that went to Libya. They said, let the soldiers go back. They will take up the security from there. And then Yaya has not arrived yet. Then Landing Sane told them, are you people crazy or what? Then their boss Baba Job came. And he told Landing Sane that we discussed with the president that if we arrive here, you go back to Central Army, mount the security here. State House Landing Sane told him that go and tell the president that I'm not going to do it. And I'm giving you 10-15 minutes to leave this premises, otherwise I will open fire. Then he gave orders to his boys.
Do what?
To open fire if they misbehave. And I told him, no, you cannot do that.
How did Baba Job react to this?
He kept quiet. Because he knows that these soldiers mean business and they will never compromise when it comes to security.
But at this time, Baba Job was very powerful.
But not in the barrel of a gun. No.
So how did this standoff end? How did it resolve itself?
I had to tell Baba to tell his boys to go to calm the situation.
They were going to establish a parallel security force.
This is what they were. Of course, yes. So that was how the situation was contained.
So tell us about the meeting with Jammeh when you raised these issues.
When we told him this, he said, okay, I think you have a point. Then I will call up a meeting here in Kanilai and dismantle the July 22nd and create the APRC youth wing. This is how the APRC youth wing started.
So APRC youth wing was the brainchild of the NIA.
Wato kankan den APRC youth wing e kankan yanu manjone
No.
NIA koko gutimi.
No.
Honey.
It was the brainchild of who?
It's part of the APRC. You have the youth wing, you have the women mobilized, the women wing, you have the the National Mobilization. So it's part of...
But Mr. Kujabi, at this time you were a civil servant.
But Mr. Kujabi, what are you totok our civil servant? Mante kantumo.
Yes.
In fact, you were a member of the NIA.
What I claim fan totok aundo di brokabe NIA.
Yes.
What business did you have in politics to advise the president to create a youth wing in his political party?
Aw haji madu budget wafa ti politique mante be kamiken di a president ma apuren e groupe no manjone yati politique.
I started my political career during PPP's time.
That may very well be the case.
We were the PPP Young Gambian Society headed by Mariam Alame, because the niece to Salauda when we were in Banjul.
Whatever you may have done in politics in the past does not change the fact that what you did was unlawful.
To advise the president.
You were a civil servant, you had no business doubling in politics.
Our civil servant, what politics.
I was not a member of any political party, of any political position in the APRC. I was not a member.
Were you a supporter?
I was a sympathizer. That's all.
You were afraid to say you were a supporter.
No, sympathizer.
It's a mild form.
I was a sympathizer.
You were a staunch supporter. Did you wear the asobis?
No.
Even in other organizations, I don't put on asobi. I don't like asobi.
Be careful, we may find videos.
File out. You will never see where I put up an asobi. You either see me with a grambu or a haftan. No, not even green.
Asobi. Ikano haftan wala nikano wafake bale asobi kay mom. Nano wafakane nambuto nani tu musujuki kano.
And the Jame t-shirts.
T-shirt say ya jame mante po no kane kano so.
I started distributing t-shirts when a lot of people adopted me as their father. Then I'll take t-shirts and give it to them too. Because I was an APRC sympathizer. That's all.
You were a militant. You were a militant. You just choosing sympathizer because you want to make it sound mild.
I will tell you here that all these divisions in the Gambia, everywhere, I have an adopted group that adopt me as their father. All the divisions in this country. You think I will leave the APRC? No.
You supported when the party was kind to you, when Jame was kind to you.
I will tell you one attitude of the APRC. Once you are removed from office, they also remove you from the party. Since 2004, I've never attended any of their meetings. Nobody has ever called me to tell me anything. I just keep a low profile.
But as Director General of the NIA, you were very high up in the APRC echelons.
Bare matiko aula komi Director General NIA. What we say is matiko nula kola ko fatiara.
Strong sympathizer.
The APRC.
Strong sympathizer.
You were a strong militant.
No.
Nukane kan aribe na baje sembe.
You distributed T-shirts for APRC as DG NIA?
No bajan si T-shirt as mati di place ya Director General AIA.
True?
Yes, because I have never paid any contribution or by any member of the APRC. So I was not even a member. I was only a sympathizer.
But Kujabi,
a sympathizer.
but by dint of your position and your appointment, you were expected, viewed, and treated as a very strong member of the APRC.
Bara Kujabi ujike ja place yenu usafumi de brokap. Ei sen matiko au warukan anan manjone do nom di APRC banu baba December.
When I started working,
just answer that question.
Kujabi wani ragi
I was not involved in politics until when we had after the first elections, and group started, let's go to Mr. Kujabi, adopt him as a father, then we can be very close to the APRC, blah, blah. So I accepted. In good faith.
You saying you accepted in good faith, but you accepted mainly to benefit the APRC.
Rek matiko nu sonson rek mate mitay bare kankan nu sonson matiko wanu jombe baje di APRC.
Yes, that's true.
But in fact, for you to remain in your position, you were expected to demonstrate this type of loyalty to Jammeh.
Bara ujike ja fam malejenaim pour mbungo nu lako de place nu lako mi fokre uyi sen matiko au nu uribo di APRC nu sonson APRC pour mbungo nu lako.
With or without the position?
Kan dia wala place kay bajutu ilako jadi place sa.
I can be anywhere I want to be. Sympathize any party I want in this country.
Mr. Kujabi, you know that is not true. When you were Director General of the NIA, you were expected to be green to the core.
Ukanja Director NIA. Kana tu kujike matiko nuoro kan jamba kirai.
That's true.
Yes.
You are expected to overtly, publicly support the APRC.
Kana ku sonsong matiko o warukana na numanjone nuwar uisen au kamanga kia di karibe na ke APRC.
A lot of people supported the party because
kankamenge kurambe ne party
because of me.
So in fact, you did a lot of work for the party.
Yes, that's true.
But you know that your actions were unlawful.
But these actions were happening since day immemorial in this country.
The fact, Mr. Kujabi, the fact that they used to happen before does not make it legal when you were doing them. They were still unlawful.
Mr. Kujabi, matiko lakalake bajasimita sa wujas kant mankan mati ribo di luwai jikanjanye.
Well, in those days, even if you tell me that what you are doing is illegal, I will say no.
And now?
Manye.
Now I know that it is illegal, but first I don't know.
No, you were just blinded by your loyalty to Jammeh, but you knew fully well that as a civil servant, you cannot and should not and ought not to be seen to be publicly supporting a particular political party.
Au kankane kabanga kanuma miyaja meko kusofu mikilaya bare numa manjumati ko ukanja civil servant luwa sent muisen kamanga kia di party ngoyene kan.
And this is very important. This is about who we are as a people. This is about the constitution of our country. Civil servants cannot, should not, must not, ought not to publicly show support for a particular political party, be it the party in government or parties in opposition. Do you agree with that?
I agree.
Man anosan amanjmatiko ulla ko jadi place no manjone place ti bukana kutu yang ko rege civil servant uwarut ulla ko di place kleba nuyi sen kamanga kiya di e party.
I agree.
Mama,
do you regret the fact that you contributed significantly to build the APRC through illegal means.
Mante nure kende ken kani lañ bolo mok di wafa no manjone wonu kammi be karambe nakati APRC mango kanwon manjone reborot.
I am not regretting that.
But do you agree that you should have been dismissed from your job?
Yes,
yes,
I agree, but I was also making peace among Gambians. Question of fighting each other because of politics or whatever should be a thing of the past. I will give you an example.
But what you were in fact doing was illegal.
Now I
know it's illegal, but I will give you an example. You see, because of that, I was here in the Combos one day and I heard that Usainu Dabo's mother died, passed away in Nyani. That was the very day Usainu was supposed to come from UK. I took my car, I went to Kanila, I met Yajame. I told him, look, Usainu Dabo's mother passed away. In his absence, but I understand he's coming today. I want you to give me some money for me to go and extend your condolence to him. He did not say a word, he just gave me 25,000. I came back that very day. Took Antuman Gay and Fodebari. I told Antuman that I went to her to tell him about Usainu's mother's demise. He had money for us to go and extend his condolence. I gave the money to Mr. Gay. We all went to Dabo's house. When we went, it was Mr. Gay who told him our mission. In front of his brothers. We all prayed. And he said, we are, he said, Jamakunda and Dabokunda, they are Kalolam. So politics, this is not part of politics. If you go tell Yajame, I'm also praying for him. That was why when Yajame also mother died, fortunately, Adam Barrow sent Usainu Dabo to his family. And he narrated the same story.
That is all nice.
Okay.
That is all good and very Gambian. But as public servants, as civil servants,
civil service,
you should not be involved in these things. Leave the politics to the politicians and service the government as civil servants.
I
agree.
In the same time, in 1996, UDP supporters were met at the bridge by government operatives, by government security agents. And there they were attacked by the APRC convoy. Are you aware of that?
I was aware the following morning when I reported in the office. It happened at night, I was not there.
Office.
And are you aware of the fact that 2 people died?
No.
Kebute, he was beaten and he subsequently died.
I'm not aware of that.
There was a woman also who was beaten and she subsequently died.
I was not aware.
Your institution, did it care to investigate? What has happened?
That is up to the DG. If he is aware, he can dispatch people to find out what went wrong. But I didn't hear him talk anything about that.
DG. Ajanja,
was it not the view at the NIA that these are UDP supporters? They deserved to be attacked in this manner.
Mante kanten wa fanu manjone kom ka kankan kan manjone kuri beneribe UDP woto NIA kusosof matiko wa fa wara baji.
I said this thing happened at night and I was not there. I don't want to presume something I don't even know.
My question pertains to how the NIA treated the matter. Was it the belief at the NIA that these people are opposition, so they deserved what they got anyway?
I think that
is how the DG and all the operatives see it. But for me, I don't know.
So in fact, the idea was if you are opposition, you know, Lochi Gobe Garko, you know, if you are opposition, you are fair game. You can be attacked and beaten and brutalized by government operatives, and you would have deserved it. That was the attitude.
Ukanja au opposition wato wanosa ndo bajmi dorong au ngese ba wanosa wanu manjone wako kan me au ngese wafle to purto yemi wanu manjone rob kana kula kom ekane.
Correct?
I think yes, it's correct. They were doing it, but as I said,
do you think that is lawful?
It's not, of course. Even
just look at it now. APRC is in opposition. If they are being attacked and beaten and brutalized and tortured because they are in opposition, would you like it?
Nyauji kede taninya APRC ko ko opposition nenkane ne jat ko basaferi kunag ni ko balafiri ni ko kane wafautu matiko kawono rawko mante pan sumi bang.
I am no longer a sympathizer, a supporter, a member of the APRC. So whatever happened to them, it's not my business. I don't want to know about it.
But let's just talk about the law. Would it be lawful if you have, what are the names of these organizations? Baro Youth Movement or NPP or whatever name the ruling party has. Would it be lawful that their supporters attack supporters of other parties and brutalize them in violation of the law and nothing comes out of it? Would that be okay?
Baro Youth Movement di siguru pasalu manjone di NPP SN nandio taman sedoro nenkane bukutu kujojo kullodi kana manjone kuribe ne rit NPP manku nagi ni ku balafiri ko kani wa fawtu mante awja pujuk matiko wa fa waro bajo ba
lawful. I remember there was a time when the APRC supporters were coming to, I think, to have a meeting somewhere around Lamen. They were attacking Busumala, and I had a serious fight there. But you know, for me, if you talk, I will say, I keep quiet, because since 2004, I kept a very low profile. I don't want to attend or participate on anything
Parce que dike ja ka 2005 nje watakile nyini wale fanga fumbo mi so forum mi kadu modi hani wonosa.
Do you think now it would be okay if the NIA were to be advising the president to create movement this or movement that for his own political survival? Do you think it would be okay for the NIA to be doing that?
Mantenya tane nyajat au nusos of matiko panjak purman NIA kujoberi a president au manku seno kawanora koli ni kurego ujumen movement newiya au di kawanora kia mante panjak bang kankan wa fa wara baji bang.
It is not the role of the NIA.
You can't broker be NIA.
It is simply unlawful.
Unlawful, yes.
Wato report di luai.
Report di luai can't broker boli fa.
And would it be also okay for them to participate in political campaigns in support of the president or in support of any person for that matter?
Mante po pankan tana manku kunamdi wafati campaign ti politike wala ni ku support ananu manjone omali party?
No.
Ani.
And do you think it would be okay for them to be clandestinely siphoning government money to these organizations, these private organizations for some party?
Mante pop no sof matiko pankan wa fa no manyeno jajak man ko ngar be man sa man ko ngar di ku sen babu si groupe as di ku kam babu ko ngako kajan mante kankan wa fa no manje war baji bang.
Even if they do it secretly or openly, it is unlawful.
Ni kan man ko kame ko ba mepene man ko kan wala no ku ise momo wallahi jawtu di luwai.
And you agree that all of you were violating the law for the interest of Yaya Jammeh?
Wato nusonsong matiko mi tu jila ko lako kakajan lueti lueti sukei berek ekane Yaya Jammeh wasumon.
To some extent, yes, but we were doing it for the party, not for an individual.
But ulako te kam di bokanak but the party fang lake ekan proberi party.
Wasn't Yaya Jammeh the party?
Mantela Yaya Jammeh ala party.
I mean, in reality, the truth is Yaya Jammeh was the party. Yaya Jammeh was APRC. He personified the party.
I will tell you that Yaya Jammeh is not the owner of APRC. That is why they are calling on congresses to select their party leader. Come this year and see whether, if you hear the APRC Congress, you hear another name different from Yaya Jammeh. And what can Yaya Jammeh do about it?
You seem to have insider information.
No, but I'm a Gambian. I move everywhere I like, and I get all the information I want to hear.
You are still green.
No, I am not. Since 2004. I told you, if you are moved from your office, the APRC also move you away. So-called executive.
But let me just remind you, formally and officially, Yaya Jammeh is the supreme, I underline the word, supreme leader of the APRC.
Bare komi langin bu yegiti mi I wala ni matiko ujikerja di man fujuma fe APRC fujumeno Yaya Jammeh o warun gumide o mi fatiyara.
And during his day as president, he was beyond supreme leader of the APRC.
Bare hani be kula o ke kanu manjone. Hani be kula kanu manjone alet bude erungete suke bare be jat to fatiyara the APRC.
Yeah, I was a party leader and a flag bearer. Yeah, but when it comes to ownership, it doesn't own the APRC.
Let us not investigate the APRC and how it functions. Lamin Wajuara in 1997.
Lamin Wajuara, they emigrated in 1997.
And the Birkama Imam.
The Imam Birkama.
They were attacked by Baba Job and the July 22nd movement, and they were taken to the NIA.
Baba Job, the July 22nd movement.
Sorry, to Mile 2, I meant to say.
Yes, I heard about it.
So the July 22nd movement was in fact a force unto itself.
Wato kankan en July 22nd movement e kankan fully met fe fa bajore sembe.
That's what I told you here.
Apart from Baba Job, who is ultimately responsible for all the violations that they committed?
Wuja Baba Job. Wanku kane mitu wanu manjoni report the luai. Di ay fuko fati anungonu nen.
Baba Job has his own lieutenants around him.
Baba Job found Baba Job lieutenant.
I mean ultimately responsible. Be above Baba Job, who was ultimately responsible for their unlawful activities.
If it is above Baba Job, then it must be Yaya Jammeh. Nobody is between Baba Job and Yaya Jammeh.
And was Yaya Jammeh aware of these things they were doing?
Yes, he should be aware.
Okay, there were a few other violations that were carried out during this period. The APRC supporters were also, the UDP supporters were also arrested in Birkama. Saying that they did not have any permits to rally.
Those are the police in Birkama, but not to my knowledge.
That was indeed a police activity. But they were taken to the NIA and tortured. What do you say about that?
I don't know anything about that.
You remember Sajo Kunjang?
This name is new to me.
How about Wasajani?
I don't know this Wasajani already.
Okay. Perhaps we can take a break now, Mr. Chair, and then we resume.
Thank you, Council, and thank you, Mr. Kujabi. It is extraordinary that you assert that, emphatically too, that Jammeh does not and did not own APRC, but that he felt strongly, which I think you endorsed, he owned the Gambia. He didn't own APRC, but he owned the Gambia.
Nani pangkolini de kamna sanka none ya jamme akiltu APRC nani bare none ende banana rage rek matako Gambia wa akileyo.
Just one clarification. Prior to the Kanilai meeting, where the three of you, that's you, Bante Kamara and Susan Wofo, met with the president, and that meeting, I think, led to the dismantling of the July 22nd movement. Council had asked them a question. The response, he put you on hold in abeyance until later on to come back to that. He asked them for the Basse meeting I think you had with Banta Kamara and Susan Wofo. Council was asking.
Kanilai meeting.
No, before the Kanilai meeting, there was a meeting in Basse, wasn't it?
No, I summoned Banta to come from Basse to have a meeting on that.
Oh, I see. But anyway,
it was not in Basse.
Yeah, notwithstanding, the question by Council was very important. He asked them why you had to go to Banta and Susan.
Nane comme mon rek mi nangi rak me jaay be juke ya jamme aw Susan li Banta nane nya kansu naki kento fure wa kane biji aw nu jow mi ribuko be baba ya jamme.
Yaya has a lot of regard for Banta.
Yeah, Susan baji bunye mak di Banta.
So Susan as one of her cousins.
Susan na jike na so force of Manteka linu.
And whatever Susan begged him, sometimes he do it.
No san Susan allow or niki akane kan.
And they were brought up in the same compound in Bokol Street.
Ban tin tekon kulkulwe Bokol Street ban.
Under Alphonse Tamba.
Digi kanya nakati Alphonse Tamba.
That's why I thought if I talk to Susan,
if
Susan supported me, we will be able to win this.
Thank you very much for that clarification. We will take a lunch break and then come back at 2:45. Meeting is adjourned.